Good afternoon. I'm Al Kresta. With me, Bishop Robert Barron, Auxiliary of the Archdiocese of Los Angeles and founder of Word on Fire Catholic Ministries. He published a letter to a suffering church. Nearly 1.5 million of these are in circulation right now. And we've been talking about the sexual abuse crisis and also the problem of disaffiliation, why it is that 6.4 people are leaving the church for every one becoming a member. I want to pick up a point of controversy that's been raised regarding your teaching, and it has to do with the doctrine of hell. And I thought, since we've talked many times before, it'd be a good opportunity for you to lay out exactly what you mean when you talk about hell or the relationship to Balthazar's, dare we hope that all will be saved. So,
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've argued hell as a doctrine is a very coherent doctrine. It's the corollary of two more fundamental claims, namely that God is love and that we are free. So you put those two together, there's the possibility that in our freedom we can reject the divine love.
Right.
The rejection of the divine love lights up fires of hell in us. It's C.S. Lewis, Holy Origin, who made the same argument a long time ago. Not that God is in some sort of arbitrary, wicked way punishing, but
right.
it's the divine love resisted by freedom that creates a kind of friction. It creates at the limit a sort of fire, and the fire, of course, is a physical symbol of the spiritual state of alienation from God. And so, no, of course, that hell is a corollary of those two more fundamental claims. Now, the Balthazar position, which I subscribe to, that we are permitted to hope that all people might be saved, is not repugnant to that at all. Given what Christ accomplished in his cross and resurrection, we have grounds for hoping, and again, I'm being careful here. A universalist position would say, I know all will be saved.
Right.
No problem.
Right.
Of course all will be saved. Well, no, that was condemned by the church a long time ago, and I have never subscribed to it. That's a blithe confidence that I know all will be saved. The Balthazar position that, again, I subscribe to is not that. It's a daring, indeed, he puts it, a daring to hope that because of what Christ accomplished on the cross, all might, in the end, be won over to the divine love, And the warrant for it, of course, would be in a number of scriptural texts in the New Testament that have a very, if you want, universalist sort of overtone. That Christ will be all in all. When Christ is raised up, he'll draw all people to himself. All things will be placed under his feet, etc. So that's the ground for hoping. And again, that's the operative word. A lot of my critics, it seems to me, they confound two things. They confound hope with expectation. It's neither knowledge. That's universalism. I know all will be saved.
Right.
But neither is it the same as expectation. I blithely expect all people to be saved. Well, no, neither of those. I don't subscribe to either of those. But hope is something different. Hope is placing one's confidence in God in a trustful way. And finally, what it comes down to, I always forget the number in the Catechism, but there's a statement in the Catechism of 92 that says this: in hope, the Church prays for the salvation of all. That's my position.
Yeah.
That's my position. I'm simply, I think, teaching what's in the Catechism. In hope, we pray that all people might be saved. That's not universalism. It's not blithe expectation. It's not undermining the call to evangelism. All these, I think, exaggerated objections. In hope, we pray that all be saved.
Yeah.
That's the position I hold.
One of the objections was that daring to hope that all will be saved somehow undermines Jesus' extreme language regarding the fate of the finally impenitent, right? That is it possible to maintain the belief that, or even use the language that Jesus used about Gehenna, the final death in the book of Revelation, the second death. Is it possible to use that kind of language effectively in evangelization and at the same time dare to hope that all will be saved?
I think yes, because I would construe Jesus' words there as the great warning. And it's speaking a deep spiritual truth, that if one steadily resists the divine love, that lights up a fire of suffering. And heck, I know that now. You and I both know that. Every sinner knows it. What it feels like to be in rebellion against God.
Right.
It feels like hell. It feels like a fire of resistance.
Yeah.
So, sure, I mean, I think those warnings can and should be offered. Here's, I think, the important thing, and this is true now. You've seen a lot of the mystics and saints. is the road to salvation a narrow one? Yeah. And is the road to perdition a wide one? Yeah, Jesus says that. And I think our ordinary experience confirms it. You look at the human race, yeah, even the vast majority of people are going the wrong way. But we mustn't forget that Jesus on the cross went precisely to the end of that wide road. Not becoming a sinner, but as Paul said, becoming sin on the cross.
Yeah.
Jesus went all the way into God-forsakenness, opening his arms wide so as to receive in the divine mercy even those who were running away from it. See, that's, I think, the deeper theological ground that Balthazar saw, is even as we run away from the Father, where are we running? Mm-hmm. We're running into the arms of the Son, who went all the way to the end of that road. Now, does that conduce to universalism? No, and the Church is clear on that. But is it a ground, at least for hoping, that all might be saved? I would say yes. Hoping, which is not knowledge or expectation. And I think that's a legitimate position to hold. Now, one more point I'd say. May we hope that all be saved? Yeah. Am I saying, all right, buddy, you got to hope for it? No. If your sense of the great tradition is that, well, I guess I can't hope it all be saved, all right. I'm saying we may hope that all will be saved. And I don't think for a second it undermines evangelism. Au contraire, I would say. It's my hope that all might be saved that spurs me on to reach as many as I can. Yeah. You know, if I'm convinced, I read some of my critics on this, that as far as they're concerned, 99% are on their way to hell, and there's nothing we can do about it. To me, that undermines evangelism. I think, no, the hope awakens evangelical passion. Anyway, that's sort of a context for my thinking.
Sure. And I do know that in personal evangelism, and I've done quite a bit of this over the years, you always, in the context of sharing Christ, you do hope that the particular individual that you're talking to will be saved. You're never writing them off. So functionally, it seems to me, you dare to hope that all will be saved. And I think some of the difficulty here is in this idea of hope as an expectation. But and
it's not that. Hope is not expectation. Certainly not knowledge. That's universalism. I've never come close to subscribing to that. And Balthazar, of course, knew that tradition very well, wasn't subscribing to that. But daring to hope strikes me as a legitimate position to hold.
Let's go